Hello there, dear friends, and welcome once again to the Relaxed Fantasy Review. Today we're continuing our series on creatures in D&D for DMs, challenging, scary creatures that DMs can throw into combat at specific levels of play. Today we're talking about CR-1 creatures. CR-1 is the benchmark for level 1 bosses, i.e., it only takes one of these creatures to significantly threaten a level 1 party. You might want to throw two in there if you've got a well-built party, and as they go up in level to like level 3, 4 or so like that, then these creatures become a little more easy for them to handle. But these five, the top five that I've chosen here, present interesting challenges even into the low mid game. A level 5 party might still find themselves struggling against these creatures, depending on how well they're built, but even so, they provide an interesting puzzle to solve or just a terrifying power to overcome. But before we get into the list, I'd like to let you know that Relaxed Fantasy Review has memberships. For just $1 a month, you can support my channel here on YouTube. You click the join button below this video, you get a little badge next to your name showing that you're a supporter, and you earn my undying gratitude. Thank you so much for watching and for supporting me here on my channel. So starting the list off with a bang, this top 5 CR1s for DMs. Let's talk about the Stone Cursed. The Stone Cursed come from Mordekainen's Monsters of the Multiverse, and they are an interesting one. They have an AC of 17, 19 hit points, and a 10-foot speed. So they're not very fast or physically intimidating. However, they have the false appearance trait because they look like statues. They just appear like a statue if they don't move. They're indistinguishable. They have the unusual nature, so they don't need to eat, drink, breathe, or sleep. And they have the cunning opportunist ability, which is basically anytime a creature lets them make an opportunity attack, they have advantage on the attack. So, yeah, running from these things is actually trickier than standing and fighting them. Or so you'd think if you didn't know what their attack did. Their attack is called Petrifying Claws. First of all, it's got a +5 to hit and does 2d8 plus 3 damage, a decent amount of damage. And it then forces the creature to make a Constitution saving throw. If they fail the save, they suddenly are restrained by magical effect. And then their body starts to turn to stone. If you make a save on the next turn, then the effect ends, but if you fail a second save in a row, you then become petrified, and then your friends have to deal with you being a statue. This cursed statue just starts to spread the petrification. It's genuinely almost like a zombie plague, except it's turning people into stone instead of into undead. And it's kind of scary. You don't want to run from it, but you also don't want to stand and get hit by it. So take advantage of its speed and don't let it get in close, but then again, you wouldn't know because it just looks like a statue until it swings for you. And then you're in a real catch-22. Stone Cursed, real scary. Moving on to another horror-like creature, the Dread Warrior. This comes from the Tales from the Yawning Portal book. And it's a doozy. It's got an AC of 18, real tough, same as plate armor. It has 37 hit points to boot as well, so it's tanky. Got a 30-foot movement speed, and it has the legendary Undead Fortitude, where when you do knock it to 0 hit points, it gets to make a Constitution save to drop to 1 hit point instead, which makes it tough to get to 0 and then tough to finish off as well. So real tanky, real damage sponge here. And it can hit, as good as any fighter at the level. It has a multi-attack power where it can attack twice, do 2 melee hits. With its battle axe, it's got a +4 to hit, does 1d8 plus 2 damage. With its javelin, it's got a +4 to hit, does 1d6 plus 2 damage. So yeah, this thing will take a lot to bring it down, and throwing 1 or 2 of these at a low-level party is akin to just giving them a damage sponge that can also hit them back, Real tough to fight these guys, so watch out for them. And on a similar note, we also have animated armor. Specifically, I'm picking the Ashen animated armor from Keys from the Golden Vault. This one also has an AC of 18, 33 hit points, and a 25-foot movement speed. It has a false appearance similar to the Stone Curse, so you wouldn't know that it was a living animated armor until it starts attacking you, or it moves. But it also has anti-magic susceptibility, so you can dispel magic it or put it in an anti-magic field. And it's an ashen creature, which means when it dies, it just turns to ash, and so you can't harvest anything from it. Its slam attack is a multi-attack, so it can hit you multiple times. +4 to hit with a 1d6 +2 damage. This one's an interesting blend of the Stone Cursed and the Dread Warrior in my head. Like, it's tanky like the Dread Warrior, and has the multi-attack, but then it has the false appearance scare factor of the statue Stone Cursed. So, a nice little blend of creatures here. Not quite as scary as the Stone Cursed, because it's not going to turn you to stone, but still, an interesting enemy nonetheless. Alright, let's move away for a moment from constructs and statues, and let's talk instead about the Thought Spy. This is a cerebral enemy from Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, so you find these guys in the Ravnica expansion. They function a lot like a rogue. They got an AC of 13, 27 hit points, a 30-foot speed. They also have cunning action, so they can dash, disengage, and hide as a bonus action, making them very, very slippery in combat, just like a rogue. And they do have a multi-attack where they can throw daggers and stab you with a rapier. +4 to hit, 1d4 +2 damage for the dagger, +4 to hit, 1d8 +2 damage for the rapier. They don't have sneak attack, which is a blessing in disguise, or just a blessing, really. But they do have spellcasting. Innate spellcasting, I might add. And they have quite a few battlefield control spells. They've got Charm Person, which when used on player characters is real scary. They can use Disguise Self. They can use Detect Thoughts. They can also use Blur in case combat does kick off, which makes them tough to hit, even harder than their cunning action makes them. And if things get real scary, they can use Gaseous Form to try to escape. These guys are basically everything that makes an arcane trickster good, except in an NPC. But this NPC is usually an enemy because they're evil. Yeah, just if you know how fun it is to play a rogue, then you know how scary it is to play against one. So watch out for Thought Spies when you're in Ravnica. But then finally, we're going to go back to the most basic of all creatures. And no, we're not talking about kobolds and goblins. We're going back to the Lost Mine of Phandelver from the starter kits. In this, we find the Evil Mage. I'm sure many of you have faced this entity before, but let's take a moment to appreciate just how tough he is for a low-level party. First of all, his stats aren't that impressive. He's got an AC of 12, 22 hit points, and a 30-foot speed. He has a quarterstaff he can whack you with a +1 to hit and 1d8 -1 damage. But it's his spellcasting that makes him so terrifying. He can use Mage Hand to manipulate traps in the area. He can use Shocking Grasp to avoid opportunity attacks and damage you. He can also throw magic missiles, making it so that you're definitely going to take some damage. He can cast Hold Person in order to paralyze you, and since pretty much every player is a person, it works against them. And finally, if he gets stuck or in danger, he can Misty Step away. This is a much more combat-focused spell list than the Thought Spy. It's less cerebral and more just direct damage and battlefield control, plus a little escape plan built in. But I'll tell you, that's the stuff that makes mages scary, especially in the early game. Magic Missile never misses, so does your spellcaster waste one of their precious spell slots to block it with shield, if they brought it? Or are they just taking, 10 or 12 damage from Magic Missile? That's kind of a rough call to make. the barbarian wants to charge in and hit him, but what's he going to do against hold person? It's not like his wisdom save is going to be great. And if the fighter does get in close, shocking grasp, it makes it really hard, especially when you're wearing metal armor. So yeah, the mage just has this myriad of answers, which, as the thought spy embodies what's scary about rogues and arcane tricksters, the evil mage just shows what's scary about spellcasters. They're powerful and have loads of ways to control and damage. And the evil mage is the CR-1 poster child for this type of play. And that's it. That's my list of CR-1 creatures for DMs. Lots to work with here. Some scary creatures, some classic creatures, some magic, some tanky animated creatures. There's a lot to go with. And I think that knowing what monsters will work best on your party, what are they scared of, what will challenge them, that is what this is for. Don't just throw everything at your players. You're not trying to just kill them instantly. You still want the game to be fun. But presenting them with any of these will certainly turn that fun into a challenging experience for everyone. This has been the Relaxed Fantasy Review. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe down below. Have a look for the join button down there. And keep your eyes peeled for more creature reviews coming down the line soon. Have a good one, my friends.